Hi everyone, Internet PCS Book Reader here. Today I want to talk about Berserk Fantasia arc by Kentaro Miura. On my last video about Berserk, I ended before Guts parody went into the boat. I know that that's not the end of Millennium Falcon arc because there's a long journey the characters had to go through, and then there's the world-changing war that Griffith is having on Midland. But like many other Berserk readers, I stopped reading during the boat arc because it's the start of a long arc that is happening as the series gone through long hiatuses in between each chapters. At one point, Kentaro Miura even reunited with his long-lost friend and has been taking further care of his health. And the story goes on when suddenly we got the news that Kentaro Miura passed away, and I kept delaying on continuing the series because once I read it, that's everything from Berserk that came from Kentaro Miura himself that I can be almost 100% certain that it will be good. But I've gone through all of Berserk arc from Kentaro Miura so far this year, and I really wanted to finish this series before the year ends so it's not going to become something that I kept putting off for years to come. So I decided to use that excuse to help me read these chapters. First of all, thank you for everyone who've watched my video going through the story so far, and secondly, I didn't have a chance in previous videos to talk about how well written Griffith is as an antagonist because I wanted to convey how evil he is as a character, but he's one of those evil done right. Even before what he did on the Eclipse, we have seen glimpses of what he is capable of, although at that time I guess I didn't know what people like Griffith is. People like him don't only utilize evil to his enemies because he had no one that he is considered as friend, as equals. You can tell how narcissistic his core character is when he has lost everything, and how the pity he received from Guts and Casca when he had lost it all is taken as an insult to him. Getting back to before the Falconia arc, Guts and Casca and their party went on the boat just as the war between Ganiska and the Kusan Empire versus the new Band of the Hawk under Griffith has finally started. At first glance, it seemed that Kusan Empire vastly outnumbered Griffith army, but Griffith had more apostles on his side where each one can change the outcome of the war by themselves if they are not taken care of. And they managed to push in until Griffith himself come face to face with Ganiska. Because Ganiska is also an apostle, he instinctively wanted to submit to Griffith. So to avoid that, he desperately changed to his true form to fight Griffith, and even then he cannot fight against the fifth god hand. Griffith suggested that they have a last fight in his palace, which he agreed to, and as the Kusan Empire escaped, Griffith took care of the politician with the Queen Health, and for the rest that still won't submit, he had the Pope help to declare him as the savior of Midland, making him the absolute ruler of Midland. We still get the occasional glimpse to Guts' party travel through the sea, including their training inside it, Guts recovering from his many injuries, and a fight with a group of pirates to show off the ability of the new party member Roderick. But the main event in the last leg of this arc is the war in Midland. Ganiska has returned home, decided to sacrifice all the apostles he's captured, and that as a result also took out the citizen at Kusan Empire, and it turns him into Shiva. Not yet a god hand, but his strength is already outside of the war logic. Losing almost all his cognitive function, the only thing he remembers is his obsession with becoming something more than an apostle. So he went toward Griffith with each step destroying more of the world. The first to lead the attack was the monster warlord that has been hiding in the Millennium Falcon army, but eventually the human also joined in the fight against Shiva. Griffith leads the charge, and eventually together with Zod he arrived where Ganiska is, and he almost tamed him until the Skull Knight comes to attack him using the sword that cut through space. Unfortunately for the Skull Knight, Griffith turns into Femto and used that cut of the sword to open a door inside Shiva's instead. And with that, Ganiska explodes into a light that bathed the world. Not just Guts' party that's on a faraway ship, but the light enveloped the entire world, making the occasional fantasy creatures that are used to be rare encounters into the norm of the world. From a peaceful forest comes Hydra and Harpies, and on a random kingdom comes a random dragon. As with any event caused by Griffith so far, the world once again become a much worse place for humans to live in, something that his fans often forget when they are talking about this selfish motherfucker. And with that, the Fantasia arc truly starts. Ganiska's dead body turns into the Tree of Life, and under the tree, the Kingdom of Falconia appeared, the only safe haven for humans. Every person who survived the war comes into the city led once again by Griffith, and because the world is a much worse place, of course Guts' party that is on the ocean right now is not safe. They were attacked again by another ship, but this time it's not pirate that Roland can fight back. They have turned into a ghost ship where they needed to fight monsters beyond their imagination. Thankfully, the ship had an expert at dealing with monsters. Guts, who have recovered enough for the first time ever in this video, showed us his iconic giant swing of the dragon sword, and he keep cutting them, giving Roderick and the sea mates enough time to calm down and prepare their ship to fire at the ghost ship, giving them enough damage to run away. But their own ship was also damaged enough to need to be fixed, so they went on a nearby island, a suspicious island with a girl looking over them from afar. They need to at least stay one night on the island to fix the ship, so Ishitiro decided to run off by himself to explore, meeting the earlier girl named Isma. Meanwhile, the others went to a nearby village where they worship an ancient god from a religion that has been banished from Midland. Cherke, who goes off to investigate the island, eventually reunite with Isidore and Isma. They talk about the legend of the sea god and how Isma is supposed to be at least half mermaid, but Cherke also found the tentacle thing that attacked their ship earlier. And at night, the village inhabitants who have been lurking strangely in the background of the village showed their true form, the same tentacle monster that attacked their ship. They fought at what seems to be all the villagers. They gave a good fight, but they are quickly outnumbered. Shirke and Ishidore, who realized that the other is under attack thanks to Shirke's spell, went to them with Isma helping to direct them when they saw a ship climbing the cliff of the island. The ghost pirate ship that escaped earlier comes back, and surrounded and outside by enemies, there is no other option but for Guts to activate the Berserker armor even without Shirke helping to tame the beast. Shirke tried to help Guts by entering his armor using her spell, but the armor rejected her harshly. The armor is in control of Guts now, changing his fighting style to become more like an animal. The one thing that he reacted to so far is Casca. Guts instinctively protected Casca, who is under attack, and the mysterious body of light that once saved Guts comes once again, giving him a momentary focus to get out of the control of the armor. A brief moment that Shirke didn't miss. She jumped at Guts' back and returned him back to the boat. When he got back to the party, the mysterious boy they met at the beach was there. Most likely he is the figure of light that has saved him twice now. The ghost ship has also escaped during all that chaos caused by the Berserker armor, and decided that it's not safe to leave the ship alone because they'll be more helpless against it back on the sea. They'll need to split once again to the party that needs to protect everyone, and the party that goes on the hunt. Shirka needs to go with Guts so he can use the Berserker armor without losing control, so it's up to Varnish to cast the Aurora spell that protects them from the monsters, which she did a great job at, lessening her insecurity about how useful she is for the party. Guts with Shirka help activates the armor and went into the sea god cave where the ghost ship has run to. There they met both the ghost ship and the gigantic sea god. And because of how large the sea god is, Guts decided to jump into its mouth. And with God out of his way, the pirate once again goes after the ship. They manage to get on board despite the spell because they are using their corporeal ship to bypass the spell. But they fall and Isidore managed to injure the pirate enough for him to escape one more time. And while the group fall, Guts has reached the heart of the sea god. Sensing danger, it showed its true form as a large whale, revealing that the whole island is on top of it, and its movement break the island. Isma not only lose everyone in town, but also her home island, and the sinking island caused a large wave that throws Isidore out of the ship. Isma jumped to save him, and the event caused her to remember her true name, turning her into a mermaid. After Isma came many more mermaids that are there to attack the sea god. The ship also joined in, realizing that this is the right time to attack it, joining the fight from the outside to help Guts, who is still fighting the desperate struggle of the sea god on the inside to protect its heart. The sea god stopped Guts using its heartbeat, but the mermaid song managed to neutralize it, and Guts used the Berserker armor to force himself to move and finally cut the heart of the sea god, ending its life. But Shirke was thrown out of the armor after the last attack, and with Guts trapped and too injured to move inside the sinking core of the sea god, he was sinking into the darkness, and once again the Child of Light appeared, showing him the way out, and with the help of the mermaid, Guts got back into the party once more. Back on land, Ricard and Erika was on the carriage running away from the waves of monsters that now occupied the land. They were almost caught when the band of the Hawk arrived with one of the warlords. They fought off the monsters that are chasing the carriage, and Ricard talked with the leader of the army about how the world has changed, and they decided to go to Falconia together, where Griffith lived. Ricard was scheduled to meet Griffith the next day, but before he goes, Ricard stayed at an inn that was run by Luca, the prostitute who survived the Resurrection War that, as a reminder, was manipulated by Griffith. Beside Luca, we also see another old face, the old man who was Ganika's advisor. The next day, Ricard went to see Griffith, who also have become a religious idol in the city, helping the dead to speak with the living. Then he was taken to see Pandemonium, the monster that chose to become Griffith's army. And it was after showing him all of Falconia that finally Ricard met with Griffith. Griffith asked Ricard to join him once again, and Ricard slapped him, giving us one of the most satisfying panels of our time in Berserk. Not even God's Wing is as satisfying as this. The new Pen of Hulk is not the old one that Ricard has buried in the grave of Sword, so he refused to join Griffith. But slapping Griffith in front of his loyal army had its consequences. While trying to decide whether to stay in the city that is built using the dead bodies of his comrades or not, one of the warlords, Raksasa, tried to assassinate him. Thankfully, an old cousin acquaintance saved Ricard's life. Ricard decided to ask their help and brings them to the inn. And just like how Guts decided to seek for the Elf Island along with Casca, Ricard also decided to leave and join the Kusan Prince together with Erika. Before leaving the city though, they decided to ambush Raksasa, knowing that he hasn't given up on killing Ricard. And the ambush succeeded. They managed to damage him, especially after they bring out the flamethrower that Ricard built using tools from the city. But Erika decided to come out at the wrong time and got captured by Raksasa. She was helped by Kaniska's old commander Daiba, and with his help they flew away out of Falconia. And with Ricard joining the Kusan army, Guts' party, who is now joined with Isma, has arrived at Skellig Island. Of course, the island didn't make it easy for the party to meet with the elf. They upped their protection after the Tree of Life, so there were some stone formations they need to bypass, and once they got out of the formation, there's the scarecrows, the pumpkin, and of course, the wicker man. But once those are taken care of, they finally met the witches that inhabit the island. Together with the witches, the party went to Elfhelm, the capital city of the sorcerers. There, they went to the Elder House where all the Elder Witches live, and they decided to get some rest there. From the Elders, we found out about the nature of the Ward Tree that Griffith has revived. Usually, Spirit Woods leads into the Ward Tree's power, so it didn't have enough power to let chaos out into the world. But with most Spirit Woods burned to ashes by Griffith, he managed to revive the Ward Tree, and that's why the world has gone to its current state, with ironically the source of the chaos being the only safe haven. And with their rest done, they headed to the throne to finally meet with the Flower Storm King. With her help, Skierke, Varnish, and Casca was sent to the Dream World so they can regain her spirit back. But they are heading to Casca's dream, which means they are heading to the dreadful day of the eclipse. Inside Casca's dream, they met Guts' version of her dream and her little remnants that we usually see outside the dream, and they went on a journey to collect pieces of her memories, everything that we've seen during the Golden Age arc. Using their own experience so far that they get from their dream, the group managed to fight until they arrive at the black sun hanging in the sky, with a journey that feels like tying back all the journey that the two have gone so far. They managed to fight back against the Eclipse monster, including the Black Hawk who is fighting against Guts' Berserker dog, and they pieced back every single piece of Casca's memories, including her heart that they knew held the most repressed memory from Casca. They all woke up, and finally, for the first time ever, we finally see Casca who have regained all her memories. Casca wanted to meet with Guts, but the last memory that she repressed, the Eclipse, is all coming back as fear and pain when she sees Guts. Casca is returned to all but Guts. And during such a situation, the Skull Knight comes to visit. He took Guts to meet the original creator of the Berserker armor, who gave Guts the memory of the original owner of the armor, the Skull Knight memory of him losing the person he loved while facing an eclipse of his own. Then the boy that used to save Guts from the armor appeared once again in Elfhelm. It looks like the party has finished their journey and has achieved peace that they've always seeked for. But one night, the boy goes outside, and as Guts and Casca approach him, he turned into Griffith. And with that, Berserk that was penned by kentaro Miura is over. From what we know so far, it looks like the story is going to force a confrontation between Guts and Griffith once again, but if it did goes there, it won't be under Kentaro Miura. It will be under his best friend hand, Koji Mori. Berserk is one of the earlier story I read where the main take that I got from the story is that suffering is not the end of everything. Life can suck, but we can still find and give some meaning into it. One of its main themes is about regret and how the characters deal with it, with Guts and Griffith being two opposites of its manifestation. Griffith being more and more selfish and making the world a worse place every time he accomplishes part of his never-ending dream because he will not be satisfied ever, and pair this with Guts being more and more selfless, and with each of his accomplishments, his party and the people surrounding him grows with him. And you can even see this in their physical form, with Griffith becoming more and more beautiful and charming as the story goes on the outside, while Guts collecting more and more injuries. With some of the last panel we can see him starting to lose some of the physical strength that define him as a character. But it's also very clear that there is no redemption for Griffith. Ricard's slap and the subsequent event that leads to him joining the Kusan has made it clear that there is no such thing as a happy ending for Griffith. Well, there is a clear trajectory on what is there for Guts after all his suffering is said and done. It's one of the most interesting stories about good versus evil, that whether you are going to read Berserk under Koji Mori or not, I still think you should read Berserk at least until this point. Even if you only read it to this point, it is still one of the rare occasions that we can absolutely say that it is an incomplete masterpiece. I give this a 5. What do you think? Let me know if I miss anything, so leave your thoughts in the comment below and subscribe to the channel. That's about it. See ya.